Listen,
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
we talk about it every day.
Can't get enough baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There's nobody I'd rather talk to right now than Alex Tantum. Jemai Webster of Nesson. Tell me, Alex, first off, get over here, Jemai. Real quick. All right. So wait, hold on. Let me introduce Alex.
Okay, yeah, go
Alex, MLB Fits.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk to him about his journey and everything, all that's good. But this is the test, all right? First, with Jemai Webster. Why do you hold up your mic?
I'm just saying because baseball.
Well, hold up. Can you hold up the mic when he talks?
Holding up the mic.
No, not your mic, his mic. So anyway, get down to his mic when you talk.
Okay, come down to the level of this mic.
There you go.
All right, perfect. Perfect.
Now, he has a very generic shirt on.
This is a company issue.
Yeah. Tell me, Alex, what do you think of his shoes?
The shoes.
Oh, see, this is how I trip it up.
You threw me off. Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me
no, everything else is just basic.
I like them. First impression, I like them. They're very clean. I'll just say that right away. Like, keeping the dirt off them, I think that's pretty impressive. Matches well with the pants and the shirt. I will say that the one thing I could say is maybe on a given day, give it a pop of color down there because this is gray and black.
I'm pretty bland.
Yeah, let's go.
But I like them.
All right.
I'll take it. It's a good start.
Hey, Alex, appreciate you, man. Baseball isn't boring.
Yeah.
True.
All right. Jemai Webster, first time on the podcast. All right, Alex. Thank you, man. There's nobody I'd rather be talking to right now than you. This just started at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank
MLB
you.
Fits. It's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, right? Is it
TikTok.
YouTube? TikTok. Sorry, not Facebook.
No, not Facebook. Not Facebook. No.
No,
not really my target audience.
No, exactly.
There, yeah.
That's why I was testing you.
Yeah,
I was testing you.
Yeah.
So it is. We're sitting here at Camden Yards, and it's cool because where the players come up to you or you ask for players, and it's the players know who you are.
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Out of the gate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How old are you?
24 now.
Right. So 24 years old.
Yeah.
When did you start this?
I was a sophomore in college, so I was, but it was fall sophomore year, so I was 19. I was 19. Yeah.
So flash forward.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? No, you couldn't.
No, not at all. I think when I started, I just kind of started on a whim. But for me, it was I just really just felt like, okay, there's this opening here to showcase player personalities and humanize these players. And
so that year was what?
That was 2019.
2019. Yeah, 2019. So. Okay, so let's talk about the whim, right?
Okay,
let's talk about the origins of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You're because here's one of the things, Alex, is that not too long before that, I'm going to say 2016, maybe 2017, MLB. I remember David Price telling me this, and I couldn't believe it. Which is MLB wouldn't let players wear cleats with more than 2 colors on them.
Really?
So yeah.
I'm just learning this now.
Yeah. So this idea of extravagant cleats and personality. They were actually stifling it, and David Price said this, this is the most ridiculous thing because young people, that's how they identify with players. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like this is sort of what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I assume that you like baseball for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, but it sounds also like, that sort of thing is also what drew you to the game even more, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was I'll just start going into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was I had been following this account on Instagram for a while called League Fits, and it was all about the NBA player outfits. And the NBA, honestly, the MLB, the players might never care about their fashion to that level. The NBA outfits sometimes are crazy too. So I've been following this account and, just consuming baseball as I always do. And I think it was the baseball off season, and I was always wanted to interact with players. Always wanted to find a way to, push their personalities forward.
Well, let me stop you there. You grew up where?
I grew up in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Who was your favorite player?
My favorite player growing up. That's a good question. I'd say, honestly, one of my favorites. Well, it depends on what years we're talking about, but Bryce Harper was definitely one of my favorites.
Who had a little bit of, like swagger to him, right?
Yeah, exactly. He caught my eye initially because, honestly, because as you know, as you mentioned with David Price, there wasn't nearly as much freedom of expression then, but he did the best that he could. I think one thing that quickly stood out to me about him was just, well, one, the clown question, bro, right? I mean, that's an iconic moment. And two, honestly, he always styled his hair in different ways. He put a lot of gel in it. Then he was also an ESPN, the magazine body issue, too.
Yeah, yes. So, but to your point, he's trying to, show this personality in ways, whereas in baseball, to your point, it was like squeezing blood from a stone, where it wasn't like everybody, look at what the NBA is doing. Well, why isn't the MLB doing? So that's where you came in, right?
Right, and that's where I wanted to come in. I felt like there was an open spot to be okay, let's showcase the players' personalities. Let's start with their outfits, their fashion. And then, as time went on, I saw that, and maybe this was happening as I was doing it more as well, and time went on that the MLB kind of, freed up their rules a little bit, but I was like, okay, there's some cool custom gear going on too, so let's do stuff with that. And then it was honestly, with one of the overall goals when I started was a lot of my friends at school and from home would say, baseball's boring.
Oh,
they said baseball's boring.
And that was before the stickers were even being handed out.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, baseball isn't boring.
Yeah, but it's a tougher. So we can, as you know, we go around screaming and yelling baseball isn't boring, and I think thanks to people like you, honestly, and it's one of the reasons I'm so happy to be talking with you, is people are like, no, it's not. But when you're talking about it, that era, it's like, it kind of is,
yeah. I mean, that time, and I've seen since I started, there's just so many more players. I mean, again, it's still growing, but there's so many more players who care about, what they're wearing off the field, the cool things they're doing, wearing on the field. And that was another thing when I started was, okay, I kind of want to get this as it's starting to grow, because for me, I'm a member of Generation Z. I felt like, there's a lot of guys in Gen Z who are going to be caring about this.
Smart.
And you see it now. I mean, maybe we're getting into Gen Alpha now. I don't know. But, as more and more of these young guys are getting drafted and going to the minor leagues and major leagues, it's grown substantially since I started. I mean, there were some, I guess you'll call them OGs from, when I started that had the fashion back in 2019, and those are some legends right there.
Yeah. I mean, well, way back then, right?
Yeah, way back then. Yeah. Some ways it feels like a long time ago, but guys like Blake Snell, Marcus Stroman, they were two of the guys that I was posting a lot at the beginning, especially because honestly, at the beginning it
was challenging.
Yeah, just finding the content, because basically for going about 5 years now, I'm getting up to 5 years. Basically, I have had in my mind, I want to be posting hopefully multiple pieces of content every day, because when you get content in front of people's eyes, that's how, one, I just grow the account, but two, also, it's you commit to more people because they see it on a daily basis that, okay, this player's doing this and this player's doing that, and they just see, okay, there's actually a good amount of people who are doing cool things, and baseball is cool.
So what was the first big step that you had to take?
Well, when I started, the first thing I did was I wanted to show and emphasize the fact that this is a player's first type of thing. I want to showcase your guys' personalities. I want to humanize you as people, because I think a lot of people forget that too, is that these guys are just people. And honestly, just interviewing them over the last year and a half, whatever, that's just further reinforced that fact. These guys are just guys.
They're people.
They're people who just happen to play a professional sport. But anyway, when I started, I just Instagram direct messages. I had a kind of a template, to be honest. But I said, hey, I'm just trying to start something here that's like, for the players, show, helping you guys grow and hopefully down the line helping, maybe just your brands as a whole grow. So, sent them a bunch of direct messages, and then basically I build it off of each other. So one of the first main ones that I remember, shout out Adam Jones, was one of the first major guys who followed me. And so then, like, let's say I'd go through the players who I knew were following him. I'd say, hey, like, Adam is a fan of this. Adam's supporting it, so like, would love to have you, join in, throw a follow for your support, and it kept growing from there and just building.
Who was the second one?
Funny story actually. I think possibly the second one was CC Sabathia. Now, I didn't know it for months though, because he actually has a smaller private account that it had like a random username, like I think. Well, I'm not gonna say the username.
Yeah.
I almost
did.
Good.
It's all good.
But he had a random username, and for months, I saw this guy liking my content and whatever, but I didn't know who it was. And then I went, because even though his account's private, you could see which people that I'm following are following that person. So I looked at it one day and I'm like, what is going on here? David Price is following this guy. Mookie Betts is following this guy. Adam's following this guy. There are so many big league players who are following this guy. Who is he? So I requested him, because I wasn't following him before that, because I didn't know. I thought he was just a random guy. And so, but like something snapped in my head. So I, requested him, and then, I'm direct messaging him. I'm like, who are you, basically? He's like, I'm like, CC Sabathia, I'm a big fan of what you're doing. I'm like, that was my first, like, really, like, wow. Like, this is crazy. That was the first moment where I'm, like, telling my parents, telling my friends who actually like baseball, like, this is amazing.
But you also knew you had something. I mean, that's the thing. When you started, you're hoping you had something. But then you're like, oh, I might have something, right?
Yeah. And for me, that's what it was at the beginning, was having that player support. Not only was it big in terms of, like, okay, like, for other people to see that, okay, these players are supporting, but it was also just big for me to see that they were supporting it, in the sense of, like, wow, like you said, I might have something here, like, if these guys are supporting it at such an early stage, then that's a good sign for what it could do. And yeah, I mean, fast forward to today, and I definitely have a good amount of the league following now.
So you get credentialed,
Yeah.
right? What was your first credential?
Arizona.
Arizona.
Shout out Arizona Diamondbacks.
All right, and when was that?
That was last spring.
Okay.
Last.
So spring training?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go there, and now, like, this is the next step, right?
Yeah.
You're doing stuff, and you're posting things, and people are appreciating it, but you want to do interviews.
Yeah.
Right? That's, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how that went, because it's not, we've talked a little bit. It's not easy a lot of times.
No.
There's timing to it.
No.
There's finding the right guys. There's all that. So tell me about how that went for you.
Yeah, so you do a great job of it, by the way.
I don't do anything.
I think you're natural, but I'm sure it's taken a while for you. But, like, well, actually, I got credentialed by Arizona, let's say in, like, February, for a series in April. But once that happened, I was in the MLB credential system, and I always go down to Jupiter.
Yeah.
Every spring, because my grandpa's down there. So I figured, okay, the guys are shaking the cobwebs off. They're getting loose. Let me try to, that'd be a great place to start in spring training. So my first day, I remember, was at Roger Dean Stadium, the Marlins. I can't forget who they're playing, but I'm pretty sure my first interview actually was Jazz Chisholm.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Honestly, if you could pick one person, was he familiar?
Yeah, he'd been following me. So, and I told him I was coming, and he knew I was coming. So, it was, with those guys, it's easier because, like, just like I was talking to Tristan earlier, they just lend themselves more to a conversation, and that's not a dig at anybody else. It's just how your personality is. But he was a good first guy to start with. But like you said, it's definitely been, and I feel like it's taken that experience to get me to a much higher level with it now. Still building, still growing, always growing, but, like, there is just so much logistics that you don't take into account when you see something like that, in the sense of, like, you have to find the right time, you have to, ask in the right manner, you have to say, sometimes now, like, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of quick with it before they walk away, but I'm like, hey, can I grab you after BP? Like, stuff like that. Can I grab you after you're done? Because then it's like, okay, I'm not going to interrupt your routine. And I don't want to interrupt routines, but I just want it to be a win-win for everybody, But and it does vary on the team. You know, sometimes a more low-key team, they're more up to it, which is understandable too, because you have, you know, I mean, I've gotten some really good big-time players, and I'm lucky to have those, but sometimes, like, they just have so much on their plate,
Oh, yeah,
right?
Listen, we all go through that, right?
Yeah.
It's like all you can do, you never, put it this way, Alex, you never know unless you ask, right?
Exactly.
You never know. Keep that in mind. But, so I'm going to ask you your top three. I mean, we're going to do a top three, right?
Top three.
No, top three. The first top three is the top three guys that you've interviewed in person.
Okay.
Top three.
Top three. Okay, well, right off the top of my head, I have to go with Spencer Strider.
Okay.
He was a really interesting guy, and he gave me probably, and he just gave me his answer, and I took it and I posted it, and that's all I did. But I asked him for his most controversial sports take, which is one of my mainstay questions, and he said no fans. I don't want any fans, all that stuff. You know, and he really expanded on it. He's like, I don't want anybody in the upper bowls, anybody.
You must have loved 2020. I mean, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, so posted that, got so many comments. And then, come postseason, the Braves are playing at the Phillies. Do or die game. He's pitching at Citizens Bank Park. And leave it to the local Philadelphia radio stations to pick it up and run with it because they needed the ammo. And before I know it, I'm in the stands at this game watching everybody like yell at him and say, you don't like the fans, this and that. And I'm like, it was just a surreal moment to be like, and kind of scary at the same time to be like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
am I to blame for this?
I hope. I haven't seen the Braves yet this year, but I mean, he knew what he was doing though. But he's a great guy.
Oh, well, that's the thing, right? Is that before you give the other two, is that the players who give you answers that you don't expect, those are the gold mines, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm sure that you asked, not routine questions, but questions that you use multiple times, and you get multiple of the same answers. And so the ones that give you answers that you don't expect, you're like, there you go. Anyway, the other two.
All right. I would have to go with I lost him for a second now. Well, I will go with Tristan was great today.
Yeah,
I
see you're trying to fend off that. You just interviewed Tristan Casas.
Yeah, so you're
trying to think of like not recency bias.
Exactly.
But if you said that, I wouldn't begrudge you for that.
Yeah, I mean, just the best interviews are the guys where I feel like a conversation is flowing. It's not just like ask, answer, and kind of that rhythm. And that's something I've tried to get better at as time's gone on through interviews, is trying to lend myself more to conversation and try to engage more in the discussion.
Don't go down a list.
Which is at the beginning especially more so what I was doing. But he was great, very conversational, lots of good answers, and and I think with the best interviews you don't feel like you're like pulling teeth. Like they just give it to you. So I'd say him, and then the third one I'd say actually, because he was great conversationalist as well and super nice, and I just always think of him when I think of my best interviews, or just best people I've interviewed, is Brandon Marsh.
Yes.
Great, like really down to earth, really humble guy. Called my mom, my videographer, like, hi ma'am, like nice to meet you. Great Southern, guy, and he was super nice, gave me a lot of good answers, and we had a great moment. I remember when I asked him, this was last year, now it's a little more realistic this year, but last year I asked him, what's your most controversial sports take? We're going back to that again, because that lends itself some good answers, and he said, he asked me for like some things that I've heard, and I mentioned, sometimes there's football, sometimes there's basketball, whatever, and he said that the Falcons were going to win the Super Bowl. And we just kind of looked at each other for a second. We had a moment, and then it was just like, we burst out laughing because it was like, that was so unrealistic, but it was funny, though.
That's good. 3 great guys. So, last thing.
Yeah.
Best dressed.
Best dressed.
I mean, we're not doing top 3. We're not doing top 5. We're not doing top 10. I'm going to make you make the commitment.
Okay.
Best dressed in MLB.
Best dressed. What do I have? Okay. I would go with Bryce Harper.
Okay.
Bryce Harper.
All right.
I'm going with Bryce Harper because he has a lot of good things during the playoffs. He uses his fashion as an outlet for his personality, and I love that about him. And he always cares about the swag, so love that.
What
about
is
Bryce.
what is the most viewed thing that you've ever done?
Probably the Strider interview or Bryce Harper. This year, he wore one time during the early season. I'm not exactly sure why, but he wore goggles during a night game. That got 100,000 likes. So Bryce content always hits.
Oh man!
Always hits.
Listen, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. From the bottom of our hearts,
Well,
because
thank you.
you represent everything that we want, and that it is all is good in baseball. So Alex Wayne, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time.